All right, let's dive right into one of history's great unsolved mysteries. We're heading back to medieval Bengal to talk about a man named Raja Ganesh. Now, what's so fascinating about him? Well, he was a Hindu king who somehow, against all odds, managed to take control of a powerful Muslim sultanate. I mean, how does that even happen? Let's try and figure it out.
Yeah, that's the big question, right? The one that's had historians scratching their heads for centuries. You have to picture it. It's the early 15th century, and the Bengal Sultanate is a major Islamic power in the region. So how on earth does a Hindu landowner, a zamindar, climb his way to the top and basically become the king? The answer, as you'll see, is a total mess of power grabs, clever politics, and a whole lot of conflicting stories.
But first, a little heads up. This isn't a story with a nice, neat ending. Think of it like we're trying to put together a jigsaw puzzle, but half the pieces are missing, and the ones we do have don't seem to fit. The historical sources are all over the place. They were written way later, and honestly, they just flat out contradict each other. So our job here is to try and find a path through all that historical fog.
Okay, so let's start digging. Who exactly was this guy, Raja Ganesh? Who was this man who managed to turn the entire political world of Bengal completely upside down?
Okay, so here's what pretty much everyone can agree on. Ganesh wasn't just some random nobleman who got lucky. No, he came from an incredibly powerful, ancient landowning family. We're talking a family that had been around for 400 years. They were basically a dynasty themselves, with deep, deep roots in North Bengal. So even before he made his big move, he was already a huge deal in the Sultan's court.
And this is where things start to get really messy, because the story you get totally depends on which historian you read. One account paints him as a straight-up king killer who murdered the Sultan to grab power. Another one says, no, it was a more gradual thing. He became the power behind the throne. And then a third just talks about him dominating Bengal for 7 years before his son became sultan. So what was he? A killer? A schemer? A regent? The stories just don't add up.
Now, this is where the mystery gets even deeper. See, back in those days, the #1 way to show you were in charge was to mint coins with your name on them. It was the ultimate power move, kind of like putting your face on the money today. So why can't we find a single coin with Raja Ganesh on it? Not one. For a guy who supposedly ruled an entire kingdom, that is a massive, blinking red flag.
So what's the deal? It's weird, right? We've got coins from the sultans who ruled before him, and we even have coins from his own son after he took over. But from Ganesh himself, nothing. Well, some historians have this really interesting theory. They found these mysterious coins from the same time period with the names Danuja Mardana Deva and Mahendra Deva on them. The thinking is, could these be Hindu titles that Ganesh and his son used? It's a really cool idea, a neat way to solve the puzzle, but we have to remember, without any hard proof, it's still just a theory.
You know, this whole mystery with the coins, it kind of points to a totally different story. Maybe Ganesh's rise to power wasn't this big, violent coup. Maybe it was something much quieter, much more calculated. A takeover from behind the scenes.
And this 3-step playbook seems a lot more plausible, right? Step 1, he makes himself completely essential at court, the guy everyone depends on. Step 2, he gets his hands on the money in the government, becoming the real boss, the de facto master. And then for the final step, and this is just genius, he doesn't even take the throne for himself. Instead, he has his own son convert to Islam and puts him on the throne as a puppet. It was the perfect way to keep the powerful Muslim nobles happy.
But, a delicate balancing act like that, it was never going to last. Things were about to explode in a huge way, with a dramatic showdown that involved a powerful holy man and a full-blown foreign invasion.
Okay, buckle up because this is where the story gets really wild. Some accounts say that Ganesh started cracking down on the Muslim population to tighten his grip on power. Well, a very influential saint, Nur Qutb-ul-Alam, was not having it. He calls on the Sultan of Jaunpur to invade Bengal and save Islam. So now Ganesh is facing this massive army and he panics. He goes begging to the saint for a deal. The price for peace? His own 12-year-old son, Jadu, has to convert to Islam. And it works. Jadu becomes the new sultan, Jalal-ud-din, and the invasion is called off. But wait, it's not over. Ganesh then turns around and takes the throne back from his son, only to die not long after. I mean, what a whirlwind.
But here's the crazy part. Out of all that chaos, somehow came a time of incredible stability. And it was all thanks to Ganesh's son, Jalal-ud-din. Yeah, the same kid who was basically used as a political pawn, he turned out to be an amazing ruler.
I mean, the difference between him and his father is just night and day. His dad's rule was short, chaotic, and violent. Jalal-ud-din, he ruled peacefully for more than 15 years.
He made the kingdom bigger, stretching its borders. He kept up good relationships and trade with places as far away as China. He was a huge builder, turning the capital, Gaur, into a thriving city. And here's the really important part. He appointed talented Hindus to some of the highest positions in his government.
And if you want to understand him, just look at this one title he used. Along with his official Muslim titles, he called himself Gaurishwara, a Sanskrit name that means Lord of Gaur. Think about that. Even though he was a devout Muslim, he was sending a powerful message. He was embracing his Hindu roots and telling all his Hindu subjects, hey, I'm your king too. It was an incredible act of political and cultural fusion.
Sadly, this golden age didn't last. It was tragically short-lived. As soon as Jalal-ud-din died, all the peace and stability he had built just crumbled. Bengal was thrown right back into that familiar cycle of chaos and violence.
And the chaos came back fast. In 1435, Ganesh's grandson, the next in line, is assassinated. Then the old dynasty that Ganesh had kicked out comes back to power. But that doesn't last either. A few decades later, their last king is murdered by his own palace guards. These were mercenaries from Abyssinia, what we now call Ethiopia. And their coup kicked off a new and even darker chapter for Bengal. For the next 6 years, 6 really brutal years, Bengal was ruled by a succession of these former Abyssinian guards. It was a dark, violent, and completely chaotic time. It finally ended when a powerful minister, a wazir named Hussain Shah, staged another coup and founded what would become the next great dynasty.
So, after all that, what are we left with? We have this story of a Hindu landowner who becomes the king of a Muslim sultanate but leaves behind no coins to prove it. We have his son, who is converted to Islam as a political gambit, who then grows up to be a truly great unifying king. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In an age of shifting alliances and identities, what did it even mean to be a Hindu or a Muslim ruler? And maybe more importantly, when the historical records are this contradictory and confusing, how can we ever really know where the truth ends and the myth begins? And that, right there, is the enduring, unsolved mystery of Raja Ganesh.